they're still single. Every relationship has not worked out for whatever reason. They can't figure out why. It's always the other person's fault. It's never theirs. It's just not good women around, no good men around, no this, no that. And unfortunately, it's just until they're actually ready to listen and to hear how they're presenting themselves, because I send everyone a feedback form after the date, and each party fills it out and basically says, here's how it went, specific questions. Were they late? Did they ask you about themselves? Were they talking the entire time? I mean, there's specific questions about how the date went. And a lot of people say, yes, I'd love to hear feedback. Please tell me, what did he say? What did she say? And other times it's, no, I'm good. I wasn't that interested in her anyway, or him. Well, there you go. This is why you're still single. And that's why I tell my clients, feed her first. None of this, we're just getting drinks. Fuck that. You're going to give her alcohol on an empty stomach? Are you kidding me? No, you're going to feed her first, then whatever you got to do after. One of the things I always tell people is look for the quietest man in the room, the one that's sitting there observing, not that flashy, outgoing, everybody's got to be around him, the entertainer, the funniest one, it's the same thing what you're talking about. It's the one that wants to protect you, be there, stand there in the corner, kind of making sure you're all right. And that's why I think it's so important for women to get that from a man in a heterosexual relationship, is the man who asks you, are you hungry? Let's go eat. Can I feed you? Before he asks to go have sex and have intercourse and to be intimate with you.
What would be one thing you would want to leave people with? And after that, how would they get a hold of you?
There's so many, but one is exactly what we were talking about. Don't be so judgmental and don't jump to conclusions so fast, which we all tend to do. Most people now, we have very little attention span. So if they don't get their attention super quickly, if they don't say the right thing right away, that's it. They're done. They're moving on to the next. So if there's one thing I can tell people is give them a little bit of time, give them a chance to prove themselves, so to speak. Don't judge them and dismiss them so quickly.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sex4life with Sequoia. And today I have a very special guest who has had me on her podcast before. I'd like to introduce you to Julia Bendis. And Julia is going to tell me whether or not I'm pronouncing her last name properly, but she is an author of a comedic book called No Smiling Allowed, Growing Up in Soviet Russia and Other Funny Stories from a Jewish Immigrant. She is a matchmaker and a dating educator who started her business after many years of meddling in people's dating lives. Just love that about her. As she says, there are only two things she cares about in life: feeding people and the state of their relationships and sex life. And when she's not working, she's obviously cooking. So Julia and I are going to talk about all things relationship, intimacy, matchmaking, and cooking, because that's something that we both have in common, that we both love, but we haven't actually talked about that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the matchmaker, Julia. Hello, darling.
Hi.
How are you?
That was a beautiful introduction. Very true.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm really glad that we're talking about matchmaking today, because I think people don't really get what is what's up with matchmaking and whether or not that's an option for them in this day and age with online dating and everything. Do tell us. Oh, and wait, did I pronounce your last name right? Bendis?
Yes, well, it's my married name. So yeah, I've been called Bendis, Bendis, everything, like Bennis, like Elaine on Venice. No,
Right.
Bendis is right. Apparently it's Greek. So
So your husband is Greek.
no.
Wait a
No.
minute. Come on.
No, the funniest story is no, he's a Russian Jew. He's like third, fourth generation, fourth, I want to say. But when his family came over here, apparently it was too Jewish and too Russian sounding, so they changed it. It was something like Bendishitz, and
Oh,
they have
yes.
that as their last name. I'm I'm sure it wasn't Bendishitz, but that's the joke. So they just cut it. So my grandparents' last name was Desatnikov, which is so long. So they changed it to just Dekov. They just keep kind of
Ah.
like got rid of the last part of it. So, but no, it's correct. And yes, matchmaking. Boy, I mean, we could talk about this for hours. Basically, matchmaking originated in Eastern Europe. It
Mm.
was kind of a thing that people did because they wanted to marry within their own culture, within their own religion, within their own little villages, whatever it might be. And it's a very traditional, old fashioned way of meeting someone, but I've made it more modern. It's no longer arranged. It's no longer your mother coming to me and telling me, oh, here's my beautiful son, find him a wife. It's like, and believe me, they do call. It's always the Italian mothers, the Jewish mothers, the ethnic, all cultures, and say, I have a wonderful son, I have a beautiful daughter. I'm like, unfortunately, this is not how it used to be. Your son or daughter needs to call me to be
Oh, they have to
like,
instigate it.
right. I need to know this is what they want, and we're not just like marrying them off. So, but yes, it's I do everything for them. Obviously, they have to put in some work, right? But it's online dating is a great tool. It's very different from matchmaking. They
Mm.
do all the work, they put together their profile. I do all of that for you.
Mm.
So and I do use online dating. I help people with online dating all the time, and I incorporate it into my matchmaking. I even have hybrid memberships, which includes matchmaking, online dating, getting in touch with other matchmakers, because I'm on a big network of other matchmakers too. So kind of all encompassing. So that's the
Okay.
short version.
So I have a question. Was your marriage arranged or matched
No, so
or not?
it
Come
was
on, let's get personal.
it was a combination of all of it, kind of. I was 21 when my grandmother and my mom decided that I wasn't dating quality men, which at 21, come on, who the hell is me, right? So I came back from Vegas with my then boyfriend, and they tell me that, oh, by the way, our local Jewish community center, the JCC, is having this new program they're doing for singles. It's literally, like a dating book for girls, and you put your profile together, you put your pictures, and then there's a book for boys, and you go in and you flip through the pages, and whoever you like, you give him your number, you ask him to call you. I was like, oh my God, I'm 21 and I didn't go for a long time. They said, look, we got you a year subscription. So I think maybe like a month or two later, my Russian friend and I, she just said, come on, let's go, let's just check it out, right? So I go over there, we're looking through the pages, and of course I'm the youngest one there. It's all men in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and then she saw his picture, and he was holding like an Oscar or an Emmy, because he used to be in special effects, and she goes, oh my God, you got to call him. I'm like, you call him, you're so interested, right? So really, the funny thing is, she wanted me to call him kind of like for her. And then his friend wanted him to call me, and not me, but other women. I don't remember how it was. So neither one of us was really into it, but our friends or our family kind of pushed us into it. And then he did call me, and we spent 5 hours on the phone talking about God knows what. And I was like, wow, I feel like I've known this person forever. So it was kind of arranged, but not really, they meddled. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, meddled. They meddled.
They meddled.
That's awesome. So
Right.
How come matchmaking for you? I mean, I'm hearing that matchmaking is similar to basically my background is in marketing and PR. And basically, you're doing marketing and PR for the person's personal life, right? I mean,
Right.
that's what I'm saying it is. But why matchmaking for you? How did that actually come up out of what you chose to do with your life, matchmaking and cooking?
um, it's so interesting because it's really a cultural thing because women in my culture, in the Russian culture, this is kind of what we do naturally anyway. My mom set people up, my grandma set people up. It was very different. My grandma would they would give her a piece of jewelry or a chicken, as I say in my book, or they would barter, like, hey, my son is single, I'll set him up, and then they'd bring her a nice big giant chicken. It was like, because this was Russia, Soviet Union, we didn't have much food, there was nothing there. So, or they would
There's always an exchange. That's
there's
what I always say about every relationship, every interaction. There's always an exchange. I love the example you just gave that the exchange is basically something that a woman would appreciate or does or need, right? A chicken, a piece of jewelry.
it's a very tangible, very practical need, especially back then.
Yeah.
It was really bad. We never knew what store would have or not have, and there's always lines, as we know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a cultural thing, and I was always very interested in people's relationships, kind of
Mm.
similar with you. We're always very interested in why, how, why did they break up? Why do they like it? What's happening? Why are you not happy? Why are you arguing? So I was always meddling in people's relationships, even as a teenager. I mean, and I talk a lot and I love to talk. So it was just such a natural progression. I went to school for social work, but I was
Mm.
spending more time. I always wanted to help people, but I didn't know quite how. I've always been involved in helping human trafficking victims, abused children, but that takes a toll. That really takes a toll on someone like myself, who's very empathetic. I'm very sensitive. I've been told my whole entire life, you're too sensitive. Stop being so sensitive. Stop overreacting. Stop. I'm like, I'm not overreacting. My feelings are hurt. So I was like, I can't do this. And I'm spending more time meddling in people's love life and sex life than anything else, and wondering if they want me to match them because they're single. So why not try it as a business? And it just kind of spiraled, one match after another, and it's all referral based. I really don't do any advertising, never have. And it was a natural progression, really.
I love that. I did not know that about you, that you were in social work, but I have to tell you, I totally understand. My background is from being a teacher, and I taught special ed, emotionally disturbed, and also gifted children. And it takes a toll after a while to like really, work with people who are, having real challenges in their lives. And it's great that you have that as a foundation. I think it influenced how empathetic I am to, what people deal with and the relationship wounds that people have. I'm guessing that it gave you a lot of empathy also for where you're matching people.
Well, exactly. And the other thing I was going to say, and about you as I've gotten to know you too, this whole aspect of not being judgmental and being
Mm,
not just empathetic, but actually understanding the why,
mm,
is really what, knowing how I am, and knowing that if I say a certain thing to someone, they might really be hurt if they're as sensitive as myself. So,
yeah.
but at the same time, I always want to be very forward with my clients and very upfront, not in a Patty Stanger kind of way, which I was, and we all know how she's, I'm sure you know who she is and how she talks to her clients. So there's a way to do it the right way, and there's a way to do it the wrong way. So as much as I'm very upfront and honest with my clients, but at the same time, I never want to hurt anyone's feelings. And as much as I want to tell them that, listen, you really need to lose some weight, or you really need to work on this, or you really need to work on that, or gain weight, whatever it is, physical, emotional work that they need to do. There's a way to do it. And knowing how sensitive I am and how hurt my feelings get, I have to put it in the right way as not to completely damage them, so to speak, forever. And it's a tough business. People don't realize how emotional it is. And a lot of times, sometimes people will say something to me about the match that I gave them, and I take it so personal, especially if it's about a woman. Oh, she's too this, or she's not thin enough, or she's not young enough, or she's got wrinkles, or she's that, or it's always very physical too. And I take it so personal, and people say, why are you taking this so personal? It's not about you. I'm like, because it is personal. It's a very, very personal business. And these women, these clients of mine are, I feel like they're my children. Most of them are older than me, but I do feel very protective of them, their feelings, which is hard.
Well, I'm guessing from everything you've just said and knowing you for a short amount of time, but I'm guessing that you put your heart and soul into like connecting people to people you think would actually be a match. You're not just throwing cards up in the air and saying this might actually work. So if you're doing that kind of conscious matching, it would make total sense that to have it judged without actually trying, I guess is the way I want to say it, trying to see what is the match beyond the physical.
Right.
And I think all of us would like that. I mean, I don't want to be judged for just my physical. And people get judged for their physical in different ways. Like I get judged by my physical because I am tall and I, have a presence about myself. And there are ways that I get judged that someone who's maybe short and a little heavier would not get judged. But part of my work also is, to teach people to go towards the heart of things and the human person, the humanity of the person, right? Instead of just the physicality. And that's at the heart of my work is like, look, sex is not about, just the physical. It's actually about getting to know someone and to connecting in a spiritual connected way. And it sounds like you're doing a similar thing with your matchmaking.
It is, and it's very personal, and it's about the person. It's not about their looks. It's not about the hair color. It's not about, what their body looks like. You have to get to know the person first. That's really how we fall in love. And I think, and I'm sure you talk about this with your clients often, is that you don't fall in love with the looks. You don't fall in love with what the person looks like physically. You fall in love with their brain, with their mind, with the things they say, and it's one of the things that I always tell women to put on their profile as well, that stimulate my mind first. That is the number one thing for women. You stimulate our mind first, the rest will follow, as you know, right? A lot of things start moving and growing and whatever you want to call it. But so it's really hard to get through to people, especially in Southern California. And just this morning, I posted that I'm so tired of seeing, especially from other matchmakers, a man in their 50s, 60s, even 40s, looking for someone half their age.
Yeah.
And it's a deal breaker. He will date up to 35 and he's 55. And I'm like, are you joking me? And I want to respond with, is this a joke? And unfortunately we can't force people, but I wish, I was really hoping that things are starting to change in our society a little bit, but unfortunately it's still how most men operate, and people say, well, there's got to be a reason why they ask for that. Yeah, the reason is they want the young, hot thing, and that's it. There's no other reason. Of course, they can say, oh, I relate better to younger women. I get that a lot. You relate better to younger women? How? You could be doing that. hell are you talking about with her? You're 55 years old. What are you talking to a 30-year-old about? Please tell me. 60s music, 70s music, what things that, she was not even born that you're talking about. It's just, it's ridiculous, the excuses they make. And then when I say, okay, stop. Let's start again. So you just want a young, hot trophy wife, right? You just want somebody beautiful. Well, I want to be attracted to her. And then we go into the whole thing, how you're attracted to the person. So, which I do think you're a lot better at that. I'm not as patient. So maybe I'm just going to throw them your way first. Do your magic, work on them, then bring them back to me.
Well, I think that you're, touching on something that's really important to talk about. I mean, look, if we all want to have a certain kind of relationship or sex life, right? You have to do the work yourself before you can expect someone else to just show up. And some of the things that I see in some of the, couples like what you're talking about, I'm not a matchmaker, I'm a relationship, and sex educator, but I see people who are not taking care of themselves and would rather take a pill to have functionality and sexuality, but they want the woman to, be a yogi and, be, able to, do cartwheels over them, and do the splits, but they're not flexible at all. It's like, look, if you want her to be youthful, healthy, and flexible, you as the guy have to do that first for yourself. You have to be ready for the woman to show up that way, right? And
Right.
as far as age goes, I'm 51, and I would really love to have a 51-year-old partner who takes as good a care of himself as I take of myself, and has put the time in to understand relationship communication skills and to understand sexual practices that are beautiful and sacred and adventurous and
Right.
and to be considering other people, that's important to me. So I agree with you completely that we have to educate people in relationships, and that's what I feel like we're both doing in our podcasts. And I love in your bio, and I know this is part of your business, that you're a relationship educator. You're not just a matchmaker. You're not just throwing people together and then figure it out. You're actually educating them on what is important in the relationship practices, including sexual practices, so that they are prepared for the relationship to last, instead of it just, having a little bit of a fun and then it falls out and then you have to, match them with someone else, right?
Right. Well, exactly. And, unfortunately, most people, they come to me and to other matchmakers, they just want to jump right into the matchmaking part. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to get coached. They don't want to get educated. They don't want to do any work because they don't think there's anything wrong. But at the end of the day, you're still single. You've tried everything else, because most people do come to us when they have tried everything else, meeting people on their own, online dating, meeting through friends, work, whatever it is. And unfortunately, nothing stuck, so to speak. So most of the times I tell them, unless you're willing and open to work with me and to listen to my advice and listen to the things I tell you, the coaching, the guidance, the feedback, I can't take you on if you're not. So a lot of people are open to it. A lot of people say, this is great. I love the education part of it, and I love growing and learning. But some people are not. They think there's nothing wrong with them. And the funniest thing, which I always say, I really would have an amazing comedy life, because there's so much comedy that's out of this, and I can't make this stuff up. It sounds like it's unreal, but no, it really is. uh, a lot of times it's just, well, okay, you don't want to take my advice, you don't want to do the coaching, you just want to jump into matchmaking. I can't help you but I'll refer you to someone who will just match you and then watch you fall out of one relationship and another and another and kind of go from one person to another to another. The funny thing, what I was going to say is that they always come back to me because nothing works and they're still single. Every relationship has not worked out for whatever reason. They can't figure out why. It's always the other person's fault. It's never theirs. It's just not good women around, no good men around, no this, no that. And unfortunately, it's just until they're actually ready to listen and to hear how they're presenting themselves, because I send everyone a feedback form after the date, and each party fills it out and basically says, here's how it went, specific questions. Were they late? Did they ask you about themselves? Were they talking the entire time? I mean, there's specific questions about how the date went. And a lot of people say, yes, I'd love to hear feedback. Please tell me, what did he say? What did she say? And other times it's, no, I'm good. I wasn't that interested in her anyway, or him. Well, there you go. This is why you're still single. I feel like that should be the name of my next book, is This Is Why You're Still Single.
Oh my God, I love that. Yes, yes, yes. This is why you're still single. I think that would be a really good book to write. I would love to read it for sure.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I do have one that I've been writing for years now. I can't seem to finish because the stories never end. Call it Confessions of a Matchmaker, which are really short stories of actual clients, the crap they say, the things they do, the unrealistic expectations, I had one client who said, I will not date a woman who doesn't have perfect hands. Like, I can't look at veins. I don't want to see veins. I don't want to see wrinkles. She's got to have a manicure every time, and then I looked at his hands. I'm like, let me see your hands. And they are disgusting. Dirt under their nails, long nails, because he works with his hands. He's like a blue collar. He's got his own company. And I went, and you want those hands to go where? There's not a woman in the world that would allow that into her, what? And you're talking about somebody else's hands? Have you, look, come on, look in the mirror, people. What are we talking about here? So
Oh my
it's
God.
Story after story after story.
Oh my God, I love it. This is why you're still single. I think that could also be your comedy routine. This is why you're still single. This goes back to the point that we were just talking about. Like, why would someone expect someone else to be perfect when they're not actually putting in the time to at least, work on themselves, right?
Yeah.
It's very shocking to me.
Right. On the inside, on the outside, everything. Take a shower, cut your nails. If you think about it, and I remember talking to my husband about this, I'm like, who taught you how to date, how to court, how to take care of yourself, right? He's like, nobody. Like, I'm like, well, your parents didn't have a chat with you? He's like, no, only you do that, I sat my kids down and he was like, okay, this is how you cut your nails. This is how you do this. And if there's jagged edges, that's not good. Let's take a little file. They're like, Mom, we're not taking a file to my nails. I'm like, well, do you want to touch women in places? You got to have nice, clean.
I love you so much. I can't believe it. You're doing all of the work that needs to be done before they come to me. So thank you.
I know. Well, my oldest is in Santa Cruz, and I would love for him to just stop by. Although
get a little coaching from Sequoia. I have my dog is enjoying this conversation. She's literally on upside down. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that our hands really do. Not like, I'm not talking perfectionism, but if you're going to touch people's genitals, you obviously, come on, you have to have your hands clean, but also if you've got anything that's going to snag on some of the most sensitive tissue in the body, you got to make sure that that's done. And I go and get my nails done, not because I can't do my own nails, but because I actually know that they're going to do them thoroughly, and I'm not going to get distracted by the next, email or, business
Right.
thing I need to do. And I'm seeing more and more men who actually are sitting and getting, manicures, pedicures. And my dad is even doing that. I remember growing up, my dad would always say, to my mom, hey, you're slacking off on your job. And now with both of them, they're in their 70s and they're still spry and everything, but they go to the nail salon together because my mom's like, I did that for long enough. It's no longer my job to clip your toenails.
Oh, so that's what I was gonna ask you. She did that. She would do
She
that.
did.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I do know a lot of older couples who the woman would always do that, which nowadays, can you imagine like doing
No.
that? But yeah, and I remember my mom said the same thing to my dad. Let's go get a pedicure. Let's go. I'm not doing this for you.
Yeah.
And it's true. What is wrong with doing that? I feel like they should have nail salons just for men, so they would at
I
least
think
in their mind feel a little bit more comfortable. You know what I mean? Because
I think that's a great idea. I agree
right, they don't want
completely.
to go into a salon full of women and watch the put his feet in there and get his hands done. But if it was for men, I know there's so many men that would. It might take a
Yeah.
little time, but you can call it the library, you can call it a bookstore, you can call it, shaded windows so nobody knows what's in there unless people that go in only know.
Right.
But I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. When I was married, my husband would tell me that it's my job to take the hair off of his ears that was like the coarse hair, like the old
Um,
man hair, he would call it. And I'm like, why is that my job to take care of your physical maintenance?
no, no, not
Not
at
my
all.
job.
No. Well, if that's the case, then shave my legs.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
and, grooming me, right?
Oh, jeez. Oh man. Oh, Julia, we could talk about so many things. Okay, I want to touch a little bit on your obsession with cooking because I because I'm also obsessed with cooking. I love cooking and I love cooking from around the world. Traditional kinds of food. And I'm actually a complete foodie. And every time I have like written you a message and said, "Hey, can we meet? We've got like something to do before like a podcast or something," and you're like, "Well, I'll be cooking right then or eating right then," and I'm like, "Oh, I love this woman. She has definite boundaries around the cooking and feeding of the family, and I like that is so beautiful to me. It is clearly you are a woman after my own heart. So do tell me a little bit about your cooking and your feeding of your family and what is that obsession?
It's so funny. So it's not so much that I love cooking per se. It's the fact that, and ask any Russian or Jewish person, really a Russian Jewish person, to us, food is everything. It's life. Food is life. I think a lot of cultures are like that, but I think mine in particular, and maybe Eastern Europe in general, we never had enough food. We never had the right foods. We never had access to a lot of food. So growing up with that, I was 13, a little older when we came here, and it was the first time I've seen a grocery store with 50 different types of brands of cereals and bologna and whatever. So to me, it's more about, I just want to make sure everybody's tummies are full. I always
Mm.
want, I've got a thing with, I can't watch Holocaust movies. I can't watch slavery movies. I can't, suffering, hunger. The whole thing with Hunger Games, when that came out, I was absolutely like devastated. Why would anybody make a movie about kids suffering and being hungry and whatever? Like I cry at all of that. I always want to feed everybody. My kids might have their friends come over, and the first thing is like, do they want to eat? They're like, no, mom, they just came from home, they already ate, like enough. But it's probably my own issue, with never having enough.
Mm.
And I'm kind of, putting it on to other people. But it's a very much a cultural thing. So my biggest thing in the morning, first thing is like, okay, what am I making tonight? What does everybody want tonight? They're like, Mom, it's breakfast. Like, I can't think about dinner tonight. Now that I only have one at home, it's a little bit easier. He is never around. But when I have the time, I do love to cook.
Mm.
Mostly I cook Russian food, very much, Russian Jewish food, which is very unhealthy. It's a lot of it is fried, a lot of it is meat and potatoes. I mean, it's very hearty type of food that we have, when we had the cold days, cold winter soups, a lot of soups. But I like to experiment. So I started really, when I have the time, I like cooking Asian foods. I like trying all kinds of cuisines. So it's really like my own weird way of just like making sure nobody's ever hungry. To me, it's like, let's
Aw.
eat first, have sex later, and for most people it's like, let's have sex first then eat. I'm like, no, 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 I can't even focus knowing that somebody might be hungry. Like, I can't perform, I can't think. And that's why I tell my clients, feed her, feed her first. None of this, we're just getting drinks. Fuck that. You're gonna give her alcohol on an empty stomach? Are you kidding me? No, you're going to feed her first, then whatever you got to do after, So it's a cultural thing. Like, ask any Russian Jew. We're just
Well,
obsessed.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm the same way. I think my podcast is called Sex for Life, and you've just explained that, food is life. And for me, I agree. It's I use food as medicine, and that's one of the most important aspects of what we women do as our healing. I'm writing a book about female shamanism,
Mm,
and why I want to write this book is because you know the female way of healing is not seen as healing. It's seen as you know uh
just taking care of someone and
just taking
product.
care of the family, and like feeding the community as medicine. Food as medicine, what you put your heart and soul into to nourish the entire community or family is seen as just what we do, but that's actually how we heal as women, right? We
Yes.
take care of people in a way that's more silent than the outward projecting of the way the masculine, takes care of things. And because of that, I don't think that we really understand all the aspects of a woman's healing modalities. And I think they're coming out now. I think
Mm,
as we have the divine feminine is starting to be embraced again, and thanks to the corrections that have been happening after the Me Too movement and stuff, I think that we're starting to be seen as, oh, we are important. We have a lot to offer, every aspect of life, including politics and business and everything. But uh, we women do these things in ways that, just like our sex organs are inside, they're close to home. They're not outwardly projected like the masculine.
right.
And so our healing modalities are embracing, and they're internally, they're more silent. They're not flashy and really out there with, oh, look at me, what I'm doing to, like, be a surgeon or whatever. We do it
Grandiose
by.
gestures, like a peacock that we always talk about, right? That
That's right.
colorful, big, going. And not to interrupt you, but it just remembered one of the things I always tell people is look for the quietest man in the room, the one that's sitting there
Mm.
observing, not that flashy, outgoing, everybody's got to be around him, the entertainer, the funniest one, and that it's the same thing what you're talking about. It's the one that wants to protect you, be there, stand there in the corner, kind of making sure you're all right. And that's why I think it's so important for women to get that from a man in a heterosexual relationship, is the man who asks you, are you hungry? Let's go eat. Can I feed you? Before he asks to go have sex and have intercourse and to be intimate with you, because that is a form of intimacy too, right? I mean, I'm sure that's it's so much that people don't realize how much women get turned on when a man cooks for them, when a man wants to feed them and take care of them, and it's a huge turn on.
Yeah.
And men go and be physically intimate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always tell women you need to feel like you are held in a safe, respected place that you know you can trust this person, and that's the foundation. That if men understand that you create that experience for a woman where they feel trust, they feel respect, they feel safety, then she's going to open herself to you. And I think that most people today don't really think about those kinds of things, but those are the little nuances that are going on in a person's subconscious mind, that if they don't feel safe, how in the world are they going to like actually open themselves to you and reveal the most um intimate details of their lives, their sexuality.
Right.
um I love that you're saying all of this about what you recommend about men to do for women. Do you know the term sapiosexual or sapiophile?
Yes, yes.
I
Recently learned that. Well, not recently, but yes.
Just for the people who are listening who might not know the term, sapiophile or sapiosexual means a person who is sexually turned on by the intellect of someone, or someone who is intellectually stimulated and attracted to another. And what you're sharing about, hey, have a man be interested in her, and be smart about it, be intelligent and caring and compassionate, and make sure you feed her. All of these things are things that I think online dating has actually, what would we say, i
Yeah,
think i think the
a little
online
bit.
dating has screwed it up,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Because
yeah, yes and no. But the interesting thing is, and what I teach people that I work with online for online dating, is that you can see the red flags right away. Look at the profile of the people, or connect to those people that say things like, hey, let's go get a great meal and have conversation. Those that will message you, and instead of asking, how was your day, which who cares how your day was, you don't even know this person, right? Say like, hey, let's meet, can I buy you a meal, can I buy you dinner? Nobody says that anymore. Let's have some food, good food, and let's talk. There's nothing more important than actually sitting next to someone, enjoying amazing food, getting all of our neurons and everything in our brains sparkling and like all excited because this food is amazing, and actually having a meaningful and amazing conversation. I love the whole walking and talking thing, and I do love people going on walks, but there's something about sitting across from each other, enjoying a great meal, or cooking for each other, not on the first date, but when they feel comfortable and safe. But it brings everyone together. I mean, like they say, it's bread, right? Is that
yes, breaking bread, yes.
right? I mean, there's a reason why in a lot of European countries, especially Eastern European countries, when people get off the plane, the first thing they give them is bread. They present bread to them. It's kind of like a symbol of welcome. Let's sit down, let's eat, let's talk. And it encompasses everything. Great conversation. So I think a lot of people are missing that. But if they're doing online dating, you can find that. You can see exactly who they are within the first few messages.
Hmm.
And people need to get better at seeing the red flags and weeding out the bad ones. And I think if you sometimes correct them too, give them a chance. Maybe they have a stupid open line, first line, whatever it is. But then if you just kind of direct them in a nice way, like my grandma used to say, with being sexy and feminine, you can do anything. The man will do anything, and you can get away with anything. So maybe just recorrect them and say, hey, instead of chatting here back and forth for 2 weeks now, let's meet, let's have dinner, let's talk. No man's going to say no to that. So I wish more women would take charge, because a lot of times men just don't know what to say.
Right. Well, I
Um,
mean, I think that we have to give everyone, everyone that we're newly experiencing a little bit of a grace period to fumble, to be nervous, to, not have to be perfect, even though they're going to try to be perfect, because we all kind of come with that, first impression mask, like, you know, um, saying the wrong thing accidentally, or or just stumbling over their words. Like, it's nice to be able to not judge someone by being nervous and giving them an opportunity to just relax. And I think dinner kind of does that. In Tantra, we have a practice that's called eye gazing. And what I love about how you described sitting down at the dinner table, if you're facing each other and eating, you're basically having an opportunity to eye gaze while you're getting to know them, and having an activity where you don't have to be doing anything. Your thumbs aren't fiddling, and you have something to drink instead of talking when maybe you don't have anything to say and you're going to say something stupid, right?
right.
Or enjoying a common activity and feeding each other's souls and bodies, I
Mhm.
think is a really wonderful suggestion. I think that you're right. Instead of just going and having a drink or coffee,
Yeah,
um,
coffee. I don't like coffee dates
I
or
don't.
lunch dates.
I
So
don't even do coffee, so I can't even say how, let's go have tea, and then I have to explain I don't drink coffee. Like,
same.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
no, I love that. I love that. Well, what would be one tip that you would give people as we wrap this up? I'm going to have you back on when we can have a longer conversation, but what would be one thing you would want to leave people with? And after that, how would they get a hold of you?
One, oh, there's so many, but one is exactly what we were talking about. Don't be so judgmental, and don't jump to conclusions so fast, which we all tend to do. Most people now, we have very little attention span. So if they don't get their attention super quickly, if they don't say the right thing right away, that's it. They're done. They're moving on to the next. So if there's one thing I can tell people, is give them a little bit of time, give them a chance to prove themselves, so to speak. Don't judge them and dismiss them so quickly, because first dates are awful. I always say, always go on a second date. It's like that saying, marry your second husband first. It's the same type of thing, where people are nervous, they're not sure, they're behaving strangely because they're trying to feel you out. So don't jump to conclusions too fast. And they can find me on matchbyjulia.com, Julia Bendis on all social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, recently on TikTok. I don't know why, because I don't know how to operate it, but apparently my kids were going to help me with that. I don't even know why I'm on there. But yes, I'm on all social media. Matchbyjulia.com is my website. And reach out. I will
Awesome.
help.
I'm so glad you were here. Thank you very much. You can find what Julia was just saying, how to reach her in the description below the video, and we will be definitely having you back. We're going to talk more about feeding our people, because I love cooking too. We're going to get into that more, and we're going to get into some of the things that you're noticing about the dating in 2022. So catch another video with Julia soon. Thank you so much for being my guest, my friend. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world. Thank you for holding your culture sacred and helping people who, need that kind of support. It is a it is an aspect of how you heal the world, and I'm so glad that you're doing it. So thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank you. You can make me cry. Thank you so much for asking me to come on. I love everything you're doing. So
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Looking forward to coming back, talking to you.
Good. Okay. Until next time, remember that sex is at the root of all life. So, just like feeding yourself, you also have to feed your pleasure. So, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. Hey, I'm Sequoia. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Sex for Life. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any comments, questions, or requests for episodes in the future, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if you got to the end of this video, make sure to communicate to me with 3 peacock emojis, and I will send you a free gift just from me. And to conclude this video, I am going to leave you with a quote from Havelock Ellis, and that is, "Sex lies at the root of life, and we can never learn to reverence life until we know how to understand sex."